Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's All You Can Geek bonus round for Black Panther. This is a Spoilercast. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, listeners. Welcome, viewers. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gast, joined by Corey Feinsod.
What are those?
And Tony Korkanakis.
I call them sneakers.
Oh, these. Oh, man. Wow, yeah, so we are all freshly off of the, pretty freshly off of the Black Panther viewing. We all saw it this weekend. I saw it. Yeah, I saw it Sunday night, so it's been pretty fresh. And Tony, you've seen it twice.
Yep.
Jesus, wow.
Nice.
That's some dedication. I want to see it again. Actually,
Movie pass.
I do want to see it again. Yeah, that helps. I do want to see it again.
I mean, I probably won't see it again in the theater, but
yeah, well. But
it's one of those movies that'll be on Netflix or something, or unless they don't have it on Netflix because of the Marvel streaming stuff. But Guardians and Cars 3 and a couple like Rogue One, all those movies hit Netflix really early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
shocked.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're talking about
Black Panther. Yeah, so that's the number one movie in the country right now. We're going to get to that in the podcast. We'll talk some numbers on there, the actual podcast. But this is our bonus round. So if you have not seen this movie yet, Black Panther, I would go see it because I don't know who hasn't seen it yet because it's doing amazingly. Yeah, so go see it. If not, stick around and listen to what we have to think about it, what we thought about it. So, Mike unfortunately can't join us, but we'll get his impressions hopefully next week when he joins us again on the podcast. He hasn't seen it yet, though. So, All right, let's kick this off, guys. Again, final warning, spoilers coming up here. So, here we go. Okay, so guys, fantastic movie. Let's just kick that off. I don't think any of us will disagree that it's not a great movie. Would we go as high as great?
Well, Corey did say good.
Okay.
Said it was good.
Well, I didn't say fantastic.
I don't know if he was just like subverting our expectations of what his actual feelings were, or not. I don't know.
Yeah. So.
I'm in the good. It's a good movie.
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay.
I don't think it is the end all be all.
Well, what I thought they did on this one better so far, and I said this when I was trying to be vague, but their villain has actually, I like their villain a lot. I did like.
I mean, which villain? Because I think one was.
I liked the actual villain. Yeah, the actual villain. Okay. Yeah.
Because I think that Claw was better in parts. I really liked Andy Serkis a lot in this role. Yeah. I just wish, and again, same with Killmonger. I wish they had more time.
Yeah, well, with having
a lot of time that we didn't see these characters.
Having the misdirection there between who was the actual villain of this movie, I think cut away from that. But I don't know
if there was really any misdirection. I mean, I don't know. Like maybe.
I don't think there's misdirection. And plus it was kind of like when we follow a movie like this and we know things about it, we already know that Michael B. Jordan, the actor, is playing the villain.
Sure.
Right. And I mean, if anything, there was a misdirection that the two villains weren't actually fully on the same side. Like, sure. Right. I mean, I'll agree with that.
I mean, that's the one thing that I would say was I didn't really see coming or even care about too much, but I don't know. There were some things that plot-wise I wasn't a fan of, so we'll get into.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. So let's kick it off with the beginning of this movie, where we start off with a flashback to.
We start off with the sand.
With the sand.
Yeah, the sand shapes and the history of the Wakanda.
Storytelling.
Oh, yes, you get the whole 5 African tribes, the original African tribes that broke apart, and how the meteorite crashed into into Wakanda, and basically brought them all that vibranium, which they have used to advance their society immensely.
Tenfold.
Yeah, immensely. And then also decided, and the key here.
The only person that seems close is Tony Stark, and nobody else seems even close to what they're doing.
He wasn't even close to what they're doing. But they decided early on, this was the establishment of this movie, that they shouldn't share their knowledge with the world because of fearing people, starting wars basically for their knowledge. So they decided to just keep it to themselves. So that's kind of like the premise start of this movie. And then immediately we go to a flashback to
1992.
King T'Chaka, who is the original.
Fun fact: that guy who plays King T'Chaka is actual son of King T'Chaka in the guy who plays the old King T'Challa.
Really, that's his actual son. Okay, so he
Yep.
plays.
That's funny.
Yeah, we get a nice little arms deal kind of thing going down, and we find out that Ulysses Claw has stolen like vibranium, and we get to meet Najobu. I'm going to apologize.
These names are going to be rough.
I'm going to apologize right now for my names. I mean, no disrespect to any of these names. I just don't know if I can pronounce them properly. So if I don't, I'm sorry. But Najobu, his partner, reveals himself. So we basically, we find out that he's actually the son of the brother of the king, and has been stealing. Well, we finally find out that
has been helping.
Right, he wasn't stealing. He was helping Claw because he disagrees with the way that Wakanda is run, and that Wakanda should use its power and influence to help.
He sees the outside world and how it could use their help, essentially, and he wants to spread that power around because he feels that they're holding it they're holding it for themselves, and why stand by and let something bad happen when you could do something about it, essentially.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the theme of this movie is like one of the theme. Like, do you stick to your traditions and to yourself, your own nation, your own country, or do you reach out to help others and share your knowledge and stuff? And that's kind of the big premise of this. So this is kind of like the main beat that they go back to quite a bit in this movie. So we had that whole thing. We had a nice Zuri, which is Najobu's partner. I have a cheat sheet. That's how I know these names.
Mm-hmm.
So
I assumed every time you okay, here we go.
So
you got it. I mean, I don't know any of these people's names other than T'Challa, Suri, and M'Baku or something like that. I think his name was
M'Baku. Yeah.
I don't know anybody else's actual names. I know the one kid was Michael B. Jordan.
So we had that whole beginning there with him revealing he was like I don't know if that was a big thing. Like, I don't know why that guy was like so pissed. The king's brother.
I mean, that was betrayal. Like, I don't know. I think the implication there is that they were friends for a long time, because he even said King T'Chaka said, "Leave us," and he's like, he's my friend. I trust him with my life.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I trust him with my life.
I think he was also more offended that there was a spy sent from Wakanda to watch him.
I'm sure it was a combination of both of those things,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, so we had that whole thing, and then we had, the king's brother try to kill Zuri, how do you say his name? Suri. So, and that kind of kicks off the movie where...
Another fun fact, the young guy, his last name is Whitaker, and Forrest Whitaker plays the old guy.
Oh, yes, yeah. That is,
it's all connected.
It is all connected. Hashtag is all connected. So we had that nice, confrontation. Did we get the killing right there, too? We did get the killing right there. So he kills his brother.
No, we don't get the...
Yeah, we do.
Do we get the killing?
I think we get the killing right there. I'm almost certain.
I'm pretty sure he, as soon as he gets...
No, we don't get the killing. We don't get the killing there.
Oh, really?
Oh, no, we don't. It's like suspicions. That's another flashback later? Because that's when the king was talking about... Yeah. So we have... now we go to present day where the king is dead. T'Challa is taking over, assuming the throne. He's heading home again.
Got to pick up his ex-girlfriend.
Right back.
Yes. So we have that whole sequence where they actually have to pick he's on a little mission with... who is my favorite character of the show... of the movie, I'm sorry, Nakia. Wait, not Nakia. Not Nakia. Shoot.
The general.
Okoye. Okoye, or whatever her name is. Okoye.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I get that one right. Okoye. That's my favorite character. That's my favorite character.
Michonne.
Yeah.
Michonne.
Favorite character. This
She's badass.
Michonne. Yeah. I'll just call her Michonne.
Please.
Definitely.
Never please.
Yeah. So they had nice little humor in the beginning there. I thought it was fine. It wasn't over the top. It was great. And then we have a nice action sequence with the Black Panther reveal and how awesome his suit is. So.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. I didn't care about
the
that.
night sequence and the
yeah, I liked it.
Okay, so some of my gripes.
Okay.
I felt like a lot of the night sequences were way too dark.
Yes.
And you could not see the action clearly, and you could not really follow what was going on. I think that sequence in the trailers, I was like, oh, I hope they like isn't this. It's not this dark when I watch it in the theater, and then it was, and I was like, oh, that's kind of disappointing.
I think they
'cause
were trying to keep it mysterious about what was going on exactly. I thought that was the premise of it. I
The,
thought that was what
the
they were trying to
first
do.
time, I'm pretty sure it's intentionally dark to kind of
Yeah.
give you like the,
I mean,
the
that's
Batman
fine.
fear
Like,
esque
I
kind of
just
thing.
I didn't feel like it needed to be as dark. 'Cause I couldn't even see people's faces. Like
No, I
who's this
agree.
kid? Like I couldn't even like he pulled his mask off, and I'm like I don't even care because I can't even see his face. Like
Yeah.
it just pulled me out of that because like it was dark and I was like squinting. Is like is this supposed to be like this? So I'm thinking more about is there a problem here than what's going on? And plus we've seen that in the trailer,
Yeah.
so it wasn't.
So he
deal.
picks up Nakia to come see his to tell him about his father and
He
that he's
freezes.
ascending the throne. Yeah, he freezes, you know, and then they return. You know, basically return home for him to ascend the throne. We get to meet his family actually at this point, T'Challa's family. His sister and his mother are there. We get a little bit more humor. I actually didn't like the humor at this point. I was like, I hope this isn't going to get too goofy of a movie because I thought it was a little bit tongue-in-cheek too much in the beginning there. Like at the
Yeah,
the
her
beginning of it.
character grows on you, but
Yeah.
she is definitely a little annoying.
We're
at
talking about
first.
we're talking about his sister.
The sister.
yeah.
Sure, she's a teenager though. I mean, I kind of expect that.
Yeah,
She's also a genius.
Yep.
yeah. She,
From all, I mean, you have to give a lot of credit though with this movie. Like the outfits, the costume design is top notch.
yeah.
And,
I thought the
outfit that
scenery
they-
was top notch. I mean, just you get to
Absolutely.
see Wakanda, and I like how they did bring this into that in this whole part here where he says this never gets old, and you get to see the Wakanda city show up,
Yeah.
and it's amazing.
They
So-
did a fantastic job making a gritty African town look high tech and still gritty and African.
Yeah, yeah. They did a great job, and
I mean, they straight up pulled stuff from like Blade Runner. I think.
yeah, maybe.
They basically said like the towers and like the buildings and things, just because it looks amazing. Like the tech integration with what they were doing here, absolutely. I was gonna get to that, but I was just as far as costume design, art direction, yeah, all top notch.
Yeah, yeah. We have the ascension fight from the M'Baku shows up to challenge the prince at this point to for the throne, which I thought was another like I don't know who these people are at this point, so I was like, it was a good sequence. It was cool to see.
I mean, it was kind of like expected. This movie is very predictable, but that's not any fault of its own.
No.
But it's so I mean I was just waiting for them, and plus that's in the comic too. This whole sequence.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. Okay, so they got that. That got the comic book fans. That was for them. That's cool. So we had the whole battle there, the whole fight where he spares the guy, which will come back later. Obviously, we all knew that.
Well,
And-
so before we gloss, I think this sequence, though, yes, obviously predictable in that he's not going to lose to this, this dude. But I think it's important in setting up just the traditions of Wakanda and how much everyone respects their traditions and their way of life, because it is open. It's like, hey, like we're going to crown this guy king, T'Challa king. Does anyone from any of the tribes want to contest this? This is your chance,
And we're
this is
going to
your
strip him of
opportunity.
his powers too.
Right,
So,
yeah.
like,
Right. So
it's
this
fair
is like
fight.
right. It's a fair fight. So it's like anybody from any of the other tribes, the merchant tribe, the warrior tribe, the mining tribe, whatever, could easily, within their right, just challenge the throne. But everybody reveres the T'Challa's lineage that nobody bothers to besides M'Baku, and it's just because they're outsiders and they're like, you guys are just but kind of again showing the conflict of like, look, you guys have like a kid running your scientist lab, we're hiding in the mountains, this like it's we could bring Wakanda to like the forefront of the world nowadays.
I like that sequence. We also got to meet Zuri. The shaman at that point. We didn't know that it was actually Zuri there, right? Did we not know that? Or we didn't know that was Zuri in the beginning.
We didn't know that initially. No, they kind of do a reveal later.
Yeah, I like that reveal. I was like, oh, I did not catch that before. So I like that. But I did, we got to meet his character in this and show how loyal he is to the family there. So after that fight sequence, we get to see, I think it goes to the museum after that. With
I'm pretty sure you're right.
we get to meet the villains. So we get a sequence that I felt was I don't know how he. Oh, I do know how he poisoned her coffee. It was well set up actually, because the woman that was doing
This lady friend.
Yeah, it was very well put together, coordinated for the villains. Claw shows up, and you have that whole, they're going to steal the artifact, and it happens to be vibranium, and he's like really in love with vibranium. This guy really in love with it. Did they establish that in Ultron? Why he was so much in love with vibranium?
Well, it's money. It's valuable, and I mean,
it's super rare.
Right. I mean, because you could see how much
he's more about the money. I know that.
Oh, yeah. Right. He's a mercenary.
Yeah.
And he has a buyer lined up already. So, I mean, we could see that just with before this movie, even like we could see how much vibranium can do just with Captain America's shield, and that was like a pitiful amount of vibranium.
Yeah.
And everything where it's like, oh look, you stole a lot. It's like, oh crap, and then he goes, later on, it's like that wasn't even like a big deal to them. It was a fraction of a fraction. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And we learned that vibranium is not just metal, it's also everything else that you want it to be.
Yeah, apparently. It could be clothes, used for healing. So we get the chase essentially coming up here with, you get W'Kabi, who's T'Challa's friend, and also Michonne's character's lover. Michonne's name is easier to say than Okoye. I'm going to say Okoye.
Okoye sounds good.
Yeah, I think it's Okoye.
Okoye, basically her husband, or lover, W'Kabi, pleads with T'Challa to bring Claw back because, he wants to have revenge for his lost comrades. And that's kind of a major plot point right there, which I didn't realize there was going to be one. That's the only thing I didn't telegraph that he was going to.
Well, it wasn't his comrades, it was his parents.
His parents.
Yes.
Yeah, it was his parents. I felt that was going to play a big role later on as well.
I didn't see that happening there. I thought it was going to be more like he'd get Claw back to them, and the other guy was going to take over as the main villain. That's what I thought was going to be the case. So we get to meet.
It was funny. I saw this with my wife, obviously, and she's a native Korean speaker. And when they went to Korea, and the Puta Nyong'o, what's her name? I don't even know her name. The girlfriend. T'Challa's girlfriend.
Nakia. Yeah, Nakia.
Nakia, yes, Nakia. When she was speaking, like my wife was like, "Oh no, it's so bad." Yeah. She was speaking Korean, but it's the thing is, I was like, oh man, I wonder, like, does it really pull people out when like people have such a bad accents? Because then I hear English accents that are really bad, it pulls me out.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of like life, man. I mean, nobody's gonna get those accents perfectly if you're not from the country.
No, obvious. I understand that, but like they play it off that they are, and so it's just funny.
That she's like a pro at it. Okay, I got you.
Right. It just and again, it's just funny to me because like I can pick things up here and there, but I can't tell like accents and stuff.
Talking about that whole South Korea sequence, that was like my favorite part of this movie. Actually, was that I think very James Bond
vibe, part was great. After that, and again.
Oh wait! Are we in the Korea part already? We didn't go through like the.
No, we're gonna go
the
back.
tech lab stuff.
The tech lab. I mentioned James
I was just skipping that real quick because we were talking about like the chase.
I was gonna mention the fact that it's like we had the James Bond sequence basically where he got his new tech toys, which we got to see a lot of what Wakanda does with the vibranium, and his sister, how smart she actually is.
See the mine, yeah, like the drill stairs.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely had a James Bond vibe, right? I'm not the only one that.
No, it's totally James Bond.
I mean, she's basically Q in this movie.
Yeah. So
and they hint at another thing that's going to come.
Yes.
Play later on. So
I mean,
it's all like everything is laid out for you. So like if you're looking for it, it's all right there, which is interesting. It's neat, but again, it makes it predictable when you know. And again, it's not a fault of its own. It's all just setting things up.
Yeah, so he gets some nice new upgrades. He gets the new suit. He gets the shoes he wants to wear.
I just love Shuri though, because like she's such a great character, and like this is
what are those?
Right, exactly. He's like, what are those? And she's like, more important question is, what are those? And like she freaks out, and you're like,
with the sandals.
That meme, right?
That I liked, and that's where we also get one of the best jokes in the movie, where she's like, I call them sneakers, with the new shoes. That's where she gives them those shoes. I thought that was a really funny joke.
And then she's like, okay, go ahead, test it out. Hit it, and he hits it, and she's like, "Oh, you're messing up my lab." And he's like, "You said hit it." She's like, "Fine," and like, "Go ahead, hit it again in the same spot." And he's like, "You're recording." She's like, "Yeah, for research purposes." And then he does, and he gets flung back, and immediately he's like, "Delete that video." Like you can just tell, like they have like this good
Brother, sister
relationship.
thing. Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's just like totally.
Yeah, and like when they meet each other down there, it's nice a moment when they like do their
Yeah.
handshake and stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, then we get to go to South Korea, where we see.
Just real quick, like the suit itself, obviously, it's like that tech is going to be used for Tony Stark's armor, right? I mean,
Well,
that I like you kind of see that in the trailers for Infinity War.
maybe. Well, so the thing is,
Bleeding edge armor is basically what he has now.
well, right. Well, so that's the thing is, like later on in the movie, they even bring this up that how Wakanda has been able to thrive all these centuries because of the vibranium, but the rest of the world is catching up, so the gap is getting smaller. So yeah, vibranium still gives them the edge, but you could see how Tony Stark's advancements with extremis armor and whatnot is like really quickly closing in on the gap.
Yeah.
So eventually they lose a bit of
Excuse me. I think that just from the preview from Infinity War, we see a lot of that movie is going to take place in Wakanda, like just because of where the technology is, though. So I mean, outfitting Tony Stark with a little bit better technology I don't think he'd be opposed to it. So
No, but I mean, just seeing what they do with that suit, and it's like, well, we know Tony Stark has a suit like that in the comics, and
yeah,
like we're just waiting for him to get it in the movies, and it's like, well, now we see it on Black Panther. Obviously, Iron Man has to have this, right?
Yeah,
The nanobots and all that stuff. Come on.
I think coming up next, we got to meet re-meet the CIA agent. What's his name? Martin Freeman's character, who I felt I didn't really think he belonged in this movie. I thought he felt out of place. But
I think that was the point.
No,
I
not at all. Actually,
point. I think that was
I just felt like he felt out of. I mean, he was the out of place character, but I'm just like he just felt like because I know him from the other movie where he was more of like
The
just
Hobbit?
from Civil War.
Sherlock?
Civil War, where he was just not a good character in that movie. You're like, I don't know why this guy is in this movie. That's really what I felt. That's why I was like, because he just didn't have a good role in that movie.
They introduced him in Civil War, and then they brought him back here, just like they did with Black Panther.
I
don't feel like he
in
had a
Civil
problem with it, because they needed somebody. I think they needed somebody else to be the eyes of like the world.
Yeah, you know who should have been the eyes of the world right there? Should have been Coulson.
Should have been, and it could have been, but
should have been.
It wouldn't have happened. He's dead in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yep.
That's the perfect role for Coulson, and I think that's why I didn't like his character in this movie so much, because I felt like that should have been Coulson's role.
Mm-hmm.
So
no,
that's fair.
I could hear you.
So we get them, that whole meet where the Claw is actually selling the vibranium to the CIA, which is I thought
that was a great moment.
Yeah, I did too.
Like, oh, sorry, I didn't bring a fancy bulletproof briefcase.
He puts a
I thought
vibranium
I'd
in his
save
pants.
myself some money.
Yeah. So that whole exchange obviously goes south, and a nice fight sequence break out. You get to see how amazing Okoye is at her. I have to
Every
look at
time
it.
Pause, look at the cheat sheet, and we're back.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm just going to anchor this phone up like this, so I can just look at it this way. So, yeah, I just felt like, again, her character was like my favorite character of this movie. So I really...
All the women in this film were fantastic.
Yeah.
They outshine the men.
I think they did. I mean, Killmonger was very good as well.
Yeah.
But
one thing I would like to say is that I think something that you're not going to see talked about too much initially right away, and I hope it shifts to that. But like you're just saying, Corey, almost all the women, I will just say all the women in this movie are strong. But even more so that I think all of their relationships with T'Challa are super important because you have the different dynamics. You have the mother-son relationship, you have the brother-sister relationship, and you have the ex-lover relation, right? Yep. And as well as like the trusted right-hand woman general relationship. And you could and you could see how all those continue to develop and the strength in each of those, and how T'Challa would not have been successful as Black Panther without.
No, absolutely. And it's funny because of how much they shined, I really felt that even though the guy that plays Black Panther, what's his name, did an okay job. He just was outshined by these actors, and it made his performance look weak compared to theirs.
I could agree.
He's like stiff and like but that's part of the character, I guess. But at the same time, you're just like, I'm more interested in the women around you, man.
Yeah,
and not like just like they're better characters.
Oh, yeah, they were. Yeah. Okay, so we have where are we here? Ross obviously.
Well, we got to Korea.
Yeah.
We get
Oh,
the
that
breakdown.
Korea sequence. That I will just talk about the tech again from that Korean sequence, which was
Right.
just
Car
awesome.
sequence.
The Lexus where she just did the fake, the virtual car. We get to see what augmented / virtual reality could be with amazing technology.
Real time,
Yeah.
like everything. I
thought
can
it was
see
cool.
everything around me. Like I'm really driving.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We get a nice car sequence, and and they actually get to arrest Claw during this, which it went with my whole plan of them bringing him back and then having Killmonger take over. That's what I really thought was going to happen, and obviously then we had the prison break real quick right after that, and.
Real quick though, with the chase sequence, and I think all the tech in Wakanda CG stuff is fantastic.
Yeah.
Everywhere else, it was terrible.
Yeah, I can agree on
Like
that.
I was like, this is kind of bad in the trailers, and didn't get better in the movie as well.
That's
Like,
ultimately why I don't give this movie a perfect score, because I felt like some of that didn't look great at all, and I just.
yeah, like I said, like the world they built and the tech in Wakanda, like they put all their money into Wakanda stuff to make it look amazing.
Yeah.
And then like the chase sequence here, I thought was a little weak in Korea. Like when he's jumping on the buildings, running and stuff, it just looked very Spider-Man 3 or Amazing Spider-Man-ish.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, but
I thought that could have been.
nitpicking.
Well, yeah, it could have been a little bit better in those sequences. I did notice that. I was like, they have a bit of an issue with the green screen stuff at that point, but so we have.
Yeah, this was interesting though, like how he has to get taken off the ledge there too with Claw. It's like, hey, the world's watching. I thought that was a good point there because
he didn't.
He was ready to take him out.
Yeah. So they arrest him. They bring him back for the and they get a quick jailbreak where Ross gets fatally wounded. Obviously, there the CIA agent, and we also get to see T'Challa run into Killmonger there, where he can see the ring, one of his family's rings.
And we see that the bracelets are like the bracelets are in the comic too, where they do everything, basically. Those beads.
Yeah, those beads. So they do. They're nice, like life support beads. So we had, that's when we actually get that reveal, because when T'Challa then goes to see Zuri, who's down in the purple flower pit.
Zuri and Shuri sound like too much alike.
Yeah, I'll go Zuri and Shuri. Yeah, it's Zuri. Zuri is actually down in the purple flower pit, and he tells him the whole story about how his father killed his brother, and there was a kid out there that T'Challa's uncle had and playing basketball, and that was his kid, and. Yeah, you have that whole reveal about the Eric kid that we've seen in the Eric guy in this movie, which is Killmonger, is actually related and has a claim to the throne for Black Panther.
T'Challa's cousin.
So we have that whole reveal, and then a quick change of pace in this movie where I'm telling you, I did not Killmonger, kills Claw. Like he just,
Yeah, this to me is really awkward because I didn't understand it from like a plot perspective. Because, I totally understand that Killmonger he wanted the Wakandans to come after him.
Sure,
that's why he partnered up with Claw to steal a specifically vibranium thing that he knew they would be watching because I guess they just keep account of what they have out in the field, out in the world. So I get that he totally wanted the Wakandans to know about this threat, like this, Killmonger. But I didn't understand what they were going for with I want you to drop us off. You could just drop us off to Wakanda. And I was like, okay, I understand that. And then he just shoots the pilot dude. And then, you get that
hostage sequence.
The hostage sequence. I'm like, okay. And then, he kills his girlfriend, lover, or whatever. I'm like, okay.
That's why I felt like it just kind of really changed pace. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, that's really weird. Yeah. It was awkward, but whatever, it worked. I didn't care for Claw.
I felt that.
Yeah, that's the thing here, and it's like the plot. Some of the plot stuff just was like, and it takes a while for them to explain what's going on, and they kind of do later on with Ross and him explaining oh, this is what he does. This is how he takes down monarchs and things like that.
I missed that tie
and
into that.
So it's I guess, but at the time, it just felt out of character for this character. This character seemed like he had a plan, and you're like, okay, he's got something going on, and then all of a sudden, your plan, his plan were completely different. Okay, so you're not gonna fly me there, so I'm just gonna kill you and take you there myself.
Yep.
Okay,
I didn't know that was the
Yes.
plan, but like he knew
Sure,
how to
we'll go with
fly,
it.
and why did he need him to begin with? I don't know, but he could have just stolen the vibranium himself and then gotten to the.
No, I mean I think like again it came
Yeah,
down
he
to
was-
training. He wanted to make sure that Claw was part of the process so that he could come in with
Right.
Claw to
okay.
show.
Right, because he knew Claw would bring them out.
Yeah,
Like the vibranium may have brought them out, but the combination of vibranium and Claw definitely would have
And the
drawn
fact
their
that
attention.
T'Challa failed to bring him in. I mean, that's the whole thing. Is like his whole part is like to take down these monarchs.
Right,
that's
it's sort of
taking
right.
power and stuff.
Right.
And again, like they try to explain it later with Ross, and it
well,
makes
Killmonger at that point though didn't know that T'Challa's friend wanted him to bring him back alive so he can kill. He had no idea.
No,
he didn't
but
know that specific guy, but he knew that they've been hunting this guy for
Yeah.
30 years.
years.
Whatever.
Yeah.
because
So-
his dad partnered up with him.
Right, and then the new king just like, I mean, they know this is the new king, and he's all over the news. He just failed to bring him in, well, because you took him away from him. Like, so now you can. So I get it. It felt weird and just didn't make sense because everything else has been going pretty smoothly so far.
Yeah, so we get another tribal contest here for King.
Well, when he comes in, I find that to be a very good moment for that character. He just
Yeah.
comes in and you can see his attitude, how different it is compared to like T'Challa. Jeez, now I'm having trouble with these names. And how like you see a guy who's raised within this culture as a prince, and then you see a guy who was raised on the streets of Oakland in the 90s.
Yeah.
And like the difference between the two of them and their mindsets and their outlook on life and life goals, and obviously like, and the thing that we talk about, and then you said that you really like Killmonger, and is that you can kind of relate to the character, and that's what makes
I
great
think that's
villains.
why I
They're
like-
the hero of their story, right?
He's got a very
when
flawed-
a villain is good, you can relate to what their goals are.
He's got a
He's
very
just
tragic
obviously-
history. He's got a very tragic past.
Right.
You know.
You want to feel for the character,
Yeah.
but obviously he's not a good person.
No, but he had a
And
very
that-
tragic past, and you're like, that sucks. You know, like what would have been different if they had brought him back to Wakanda? You know what I mean? Like how, what would have been different there?
Right, exactly.
So-
exactly.
We had the basically that whole fight then happens between Killmonger and T'Challa. With before that happens, obviously Zuri gets killed, which I thought was another.
Well, not before.
Well, hold on.
happens
I'm sorry.
during it,
We're
We're not
we're
brushing
kind of
past
jumping
anything.
around. Well, no, I think we are, because we have the important sequence where he's talking to Kia about how he's like shocked that his dad could have done something so horrible, as in killing his brother and abandoning his cousin, and then we immediately go to, hey, look, some dude just showed up claiming he killed Claw, and then you have that whole sequence where obviously he knows who Killmonger is at this point, and Killmonger's trying to goad him into
Combat.
Ask
ask him who he is.
Yeah,
And
to
there's a
get
lot
the
of
name
tension
out.
and there's
Yeah.
build up, and he's like, the whole thing is where
ahead.
it's like, ask me who I am. And he's like, no, and like take him away, and like the merchant dude asks him, and he goes, he speaks in Wakandan, I'm whatever son of Najobu
whatever.
or whatever. And then everybody's like gasping, like it's like you lie, and it's like no, he's right, and shows the ring, and then he's like, hey auntie, and stuff like that, and you're just like, oh shit, and the music starts playing, and it's like,
Yeah.
it just builds up, and then they still plead with him to not accept this, but he does anyway, and that shows, in my opinion, a flaw with T'Challa, because if he had been like, no, I'm not going to accept your challenge, but I want to work with you to like work something out,
as we saw
or
later,
whatever.
you didn't have to accept it because it happened later. Again.
Right.
Yeah, but yes. Yeah, there was a little bit of flaw there with T'Challa as well, where he was like, he knew who he was, and he was like, you know what, take him away. I'm not even going to ask him the name because I know what's going to happen here.
Right.
Yeah. So it showed a little character flaw for T'Challa, and it also showed some pride for him too. Afterwards.
Probably a little hubris,
Yeah.
because it's,
I'll just beat this guy then myself. That's what he decided when he got challenged. And then we had a pretty good fight sequence. Zuri getting obviously killed when he reveals.
I will say, when freaking Michael B. Jordan takes his shirt off, it's just like, oh shit, like that dude got fucking jacked for this movie. Like,
Yeah.
I know he's obviously in Creed, but like, dude,
He's just as big in that, though.
He is pretty
Yeah.
big in Creed, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, oh damn, like you're so fucking ripped. And then I just like the kill marks just I think like it just adds to the effect, which is
Yep.
obvious.
So we have T'Challa's defeat. and being thrown over the waterfall.
Yep, which is great. I mean, which again, nobody in the theater is like, there's nobody that thinks he's dead.
No. That again telegraphed, and his family, then deciding they need to leave. And I thought after that there was a quick, interesting conversation between Okie. Darn it, Okie and Nakia about like honor and stuff, and shows how dedicated they are to their traditions as
right. And
Wakandans.
again, it's going back to earlier in the movie, and they're like that they respect their own culture and heritage that much that I have to serve the throne.
Yeah.
Regardless of this dude just strolling up in here, and
Right.
less than a day, he's the king. I gotta serve him. It's like, oh, okay, and it shows some.
I mean, you can't exactly. And then later on, you realize it's about Wakanda, not about.
Yeah. So we have preparations for the Wakandans. Then we're going to then branch out into the world, but not the way that you'd think they would. It was more for war, and spreading their weapons and their technology to not to I guess they're aiming for more third world country rising up and defeating everybody kind of thing, right? Is that what they're going for?
This is where I was a little bit confused with his end goal,
His plan?
what Eric Killmonger's end goal here was. Just basically, becoming what he was trying to fight. I don't know what
becoming what he hated himself about. I mean, that's
So it was kind of a little bit like, okay, now you're just in supervillain mode, and it's like, okay, I guess.
Right, but I think the thing is, you could see how the I don't know, the morale or difference, the gulf between him and T'Challa, because he wants to use Wakanda's power and influence to control the world rather than help it, which is what T'Challa was urged on by his Nakia earlier in the movie, and his friend when he's like, if you want my men to go out in the world and clean it up, I'm happy to do that. But he's like, no, I want to rule with might, not what's right.
Yeah.
So that's showing it. Yeah, obviously he's going a little bit far, but I mean, as somebody who grew up in a slum neighborhood and was probably subjected to a lot of bad shit, and you can even see when he takes his.
Yeah, I get that whole background stuff, but it's like you can't keep using it as a crutch, man. You made it out. You graduated Annapolis. You became a ranger or whatever. You did some great stuff, and made a life for yourself. All this oh, my backstory is so tragic, I turned into a supervillain, really annoyed me actually with this character.
I just don't understand why. That was his motivating factor. I mean, you have somebody like
I understand his motivating
parents die at 8 and he dedicates his life to being Batman. So I don't see why a kid losing his parents at 8 becoming a supervillain.
Why are we bringing Batman into this conversation?
Because I don't know. It's just
he lost one parent and then he made a life for himself and was actually did good things, but then turned into supervillain mode. That
I don't think it was a good thing.
I don't think he did good things. He did a lot of
he did good things. Right. I'm not saying good things as in
he did bad things for a good cause.
Habitat Humanity. I'm saying he graduated Annapolis and he went and joined the army and did stuff there. I'm just saying he didn't have this tragic life that he had was slumming it for his entire time. That's all I'm saying is and then I understand his whole goal was to get to Wakanda and take over and be and then use Wakanda's technology and influence to make the world better in a sense, but not better by being good about it, by just being a dictator about it. And so I just don't see how his background caused him to become such an evil person to want to become a dictator and a world power.
He revenge.
Well, he got to see a lot of suffering out there
revenge.
in the field. He saw a lot of suffering. He saw a lot of suffering out in the field, and that's what he wanted to change by giving those people weapons. And
and again, I understand where he's coming from, but it just turns so much the other way, where he became what he was kind of trying to stop.
He became a dictator when he was trying to stop other dictators. I got you on that. Yeah, I got you.
I just don't think you can say his I just don't agree that his
the other thing that I felt
is what's the cause for. I think is just it is his backstory obviously, and Bruce Wayne, same thing, is he has a tragic event happen in his past and he used that to catapult him to what he became.
Yeah.
And this catapulted him to what he became, but it seemed I mean, I guess it just seemed a little more rushed maybe for me because we only got maybe like half an hour of this guy on screen.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, well, it was like a very condensed movie. I thought nothing really got long-winded for it, and I don't, they could have explored more, but it was under two. It was under 2 hours.
Really quickly at the end.
It was under 2 hours. Yeah, we're at the end. Basically, this next sequence is they kind of mesh together here. So you have him burning the flowers, which I thought was completely against Wakandan tradition and should have been a problem for everybody there, but that wasn't for some reason.
Well, he's the king.
Well, no, it was a problem. The one priestess is like, we can't, this is the thing.
What if there's something like the next king?
He chokes her. Right, and he chokes her. He's like, I'm not going to ask again. You don't question me.
Yeah, I guess. But, I mean, that was, I don't know. I thought that was against the complete, nobody there questioned him whatsoever at that point. I mean, come on.
But I just said that the priestess did. She goes, but my king, we can't. Like that.
Nobody else except for her, is what I'm saying?
Well, they're the only ones that are the keepers of this flower, apparently.
So we had Nakia steal the one. They go to the mountain tribe to plead and give M'Baku the flower, and we realize that T'Challa is still alive but in a coma, and M'Baku, who, by the way, I thought was a pretty comic relief character but still really strong and awesome. He reminded me of there was a Flash Gordon movie years ago with the guy with the vulture back. I can't remember. His name is slipping my mind, but he reminded me of him so much. That character, like the guy with the beard in the Flash Gordon movie, he just reminded me, like he was like always laughing and loving combat, and but so obviously we had him spared in the beginning, so this came back to him sparing T'Challa and saving his life, life for a life, as he says in this part, and we get the purple flower given to T'Challa again to make him, imbued with the Black Panther.
You're rushing over like the best parts of the movie. I thought M'Baku was like the best character in this movie because he's just like, I don't know, it's just hilarious.
More than anything.
What?
I thought he was more comic than anything. I don't know if he's the best character. I mean,
you didn't think it was funny when...
What do you got, Tony? What do you got?
I just thought it was funny when the agent was trying to talk and he just stares at him and just starts woofing at him. He goes like, "Urgh," and he's like, okay, and he goes, "Urgh, urgh," and like everybody just like starts doing it, and he's like, "If you speak another word, I'll feed you to my children." And it's like everybody's just like deathly quiet. And he's like, "I'm just kidding. We're vegetarians." It's like, oh my god, like what the fuck, like, dude, really, like,
okay, that was
how is this appropriate? Like,
yeah,
how is this appropriate?
Especially because like they're there to tell him about like how badly like the Wakanda's like in trouble, and he's just like, yeah, he's carefree. So
well, it's because like they've been ignored for so long, and like nothing that anybody does really affects them, and they don't affect other people. So it doesn't bother him or doesn't involve him at all, really.
We get
That's how he sees it.
T'Challa healed, and actually we get to see a sequence with his father in that dead world, where he turns his back on all the other. Yeah, he turns his back on his traditions at that point, and walks away from them, which I thought was another big statement there, because now it's like, okay, this is going to be different.
Well, it wasn't just. I mean, yes, the end result was he was walking away from his traditions, but the big takeaway from that moment is that he flat out told his dad that he was wrong, and his ancestors were wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he says, like, that's what I mean. Going against their traditions. Their traditions. That tradition was wrong. To be themselves, to stick to themselves, and not share their knowledge with the world.
Right.
So then we have a nice fight sequences, coming up here. So we got the major climactic battle between. For some reason, I felt like the only thing that didn't make sense was when T'Challa shows up. He blows up a ship that was being piloted by somebody, wasn't it? Or was that just robotically piloted? I don't know.
I thought most of those were drones.
Okay. I thought maybe somebody was piloting. I'm like, well, he just straight up killed that, whoever's the pilot in that ship. But anyway, so we see the vibranium weapons are leaving, and they have to stop them. So that's the big plan. They give Ross the mission of shooting them down, and I didn't even know this guy was a pilot, but apparently he was.
They say.
Yeah, I know they mentioned it. They mentioned it. But we didn't know that from the other one, but whatever. Because we already met his character in Civil War, but whatever. So we have that. We have T'Challa showing up, and then for some reason W'Kabi and everybody like siding with their Killmonger guy, who clearly is
he's the king,
power hungry. I just found that was like.
No, I agree. I agree. It was kind of like, well, you got two choices here.
It was a complete betrayal. That's what it was.
His tribe betrayed the king.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Because he's like, you know what? I'm siding with this dude because he got shit accomplished.
But the ritual, their like rituals was it was still that combat was still going on. There was no yield. There was no death. So
right, and his tribe didn't care. He's like, fuck it.
Yeah, I've been waiting for a moment to happen for however long, and this guy got it done, and you didn't. So I'm gonna.
Okay.
Right, and that goes back to his earlier conversation. He's like, I thought things were gonna be different. Looks like it's more of the same.
Yeah. So what do we think of this last fight sequence? I thought we had Okoye being awesome and badass, and Nakia was actually doing pretty well.
All
too.
those red suited women were great.
Yeah, they were great.
They're awesome.
They were awesome, and we have I mean, I don't know if I like the rhinos showing up at the end there. I thought that was like
Well, those bad CGI.
yeah, that part didn't work. But we did get the nice Black Panther versus Killmonger's Black Panther, which was a cool fight sequence when you have body armor that reflects back attacks kind of thing. So it was kind of like they're.
His fight sequence with the women were like Killmonger.
I thought that was better.
That was better. Yeah,
way
that
better.
Was actually better
Because there was too much CGI at the end.
Yeah, it felt like Power Rangers fighting each other.
They did have that problem in this movie a little bit. Like I said, the green screen problem. It was too much with that. So, and I know that's a lot of people griped about that. So, but yeah, so we had that whole sequence there. Anything you guys want to talk about during the fight sequences, or we good?
I mean,
I thought his introduction was pretty badass when the warrior tribe was, the blue cloaks, the whatever you want to call them, they were charging at him with their shield, their invisible shield wall, and he like just jumps over, activates the kinetic energy, blows them all away, grabs the spear mid-air, turns around, and just instantly downs like the one aircraft that's like attacking him. I thought that was a pretty good money shot there.
There was some cool stuff in that, and we had.
I just thought it was kind of weird that Suri knew that this suit was gonna take energy and reflect it back, but then it was okay. Hey, just go attack him, and I'm gonna shoot him, and
yeah.
I
thought that was a little bit.
There should probably be another tactic here that you use, but at the same
time, she knows
time,
all about those suits and their weaknesses, and
yeah. I feel like the whatever things she did have equipped, like the Panther claws or whatever. It looked like they were affecting the suit somehow, so maybe it was just she needed to get more shots in.
Yeah.
But,
And it took Okoye standing in front of a rhino to stop Wakabi from taking over from fighting for some reason. But I don't know why that sequence was the one that just kind of stopped him suddenly.
Well, it stopped the rhino because the rhino was friendly.
I knew that stopped the rhino, but why did it stop him fighting? He just suddenly yelled. He's like, you know what, I'm done. Yeah, you're right.
Well, because he's not as good as her.
Well, no, he slid down from the rhino because obviously the rhino's placated, and he has his hand on his sword, and she goes, "You better drop your weapon now." And he goes, my love, you'd kill me for Wakanda?" And she goes, "Without question." So I mean.
Okay, and he was going to die. He was going to die.
I don't know.
Yeah,
right.
that was.
I don't know how.
Okay.
And they've already established clearly earlier in the movie that when Nakia was talking to her, she's like, "You are the best warrior in our tribe. Yeah. Help me stop Killmonger before he gets the power of the Black Panther."
Yeah.
So it's pretty obvious to draw the correlation there that she would have killed him with fucking no problem.
So let's talk about the Killmonger death, where he decides to just basically kill himself and die a free man kind of thing.
I just want to mention that the fight sequence between Black Panther and him was definitely a letdown compared to him Killmonger just fighting anybody else.
Yeah,
because of the too much CGI, and it just was way too dark again.
I don't think the choreography was that good either. It just kind of felt they were going.
It definitely was out of the battle that was going on all around. That was the weakest of the fighting. I was actually more interested in what was going on the surface at that
top,
point.
Yeah. Again, you could see what was going on up top much easier.
Yeah. So,
but the kill move was good though.
I liked his I'm just gonna pull this out and kill myself because I don't want to be.
Well, that was a very powerful statement he had. We can heal you, and he's like, "No, just bury me in the ocean like my ancestors who jumped from a boat because they knew death was better than bondage."
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here, hold on. We're skipping a little bit because I think there's a lot of tragedy, and maybe it's because I view the villain higher than you do, Corey. But when he gets wounded, straight up in the chest, he's like, "That was a nice move," and then he's just kind of doing the whole villain trope where it's just explaining it. He's talking about how his dad told him that Wakanda was the most beautiful place on earth, this, that, and the other thing. So Black Panther takes him up to see the sunset,
Which his dad, promised him to show him.
Right, exactly. And Black Panther goes, maybe we could still heal you. But I think there's something. Maybe I'm looking too into this, but I think it's more than just heal him physically. I think it's about trying to heal him like emotionally and psychologically, because he's obviously scarred and wounded from the tragedy that happened. But that's when Killmonger says, "Why? So you can just lock me out?" And that leads up into the final line where he's like, "No, just bury me in the ocean where my ancestors jumped off of boats rather than living a life of slavery, basically." Yeah. Because he would rather die a free man than
instead of incarceration.
Right, right, exactly. So, extremely powerful. Like, I know, at least my crowd, like they, it's kind of like you could hear people like gasping or like,
Yeah, that was definitely like a hell of a line. So yeah, I liked. I mean that part of their sequence. That's the only part that like. That whole last part there I liked, but their confrontation, the rest of it, I wasn't a big fan of. All right. So we have basically the ending of the movie now, with T'Challa establishing an outreach center now in Oakland. He learned his lesson. He bought what did he buy? The entire like city.
He's like, I bought the building.
And this one.
And I bought that one. And that one. And that one over there.
It'll be the first.
Like, this is going to be the first Wakandan foreign outreach program.
Yeah.
And Nakia is going to head it up, and I want you to do the information and knowledge, or science and knowledge.
Yeah, I thought that the ending wrapped up really quick, but...
Yeah, it did.
But, we did get some post-credit sequences, which were cool. But that was it. I mean, that was the ending. I was, like, expecting something more, but that was, I guess, it. I mean, Nakia stays with him, obviously, right? We got that established.
Right. Right. But,
it's because now she can do the things she wants to do in the open.
But we don't really know what happened to Wakabi. Does he get...
Well, no, we kind of do, actually. And I didn't notice until
he gets replaced
because, in that last sequence where he's going back into the throne room, you could see instead of, what's his name? The other guy, the first guy.
The Get Out guy.
The Get Out guy. Instead of him, it's M'Baku there.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like, he's like, friendship with blah, blah, blah is over. M'Baku is my best friend now. Because it's like,
essentially.
well, you straight up betrayed me.
I missed that.
So.
Okay, I missed that. All right.
Yeah.
Then we have a nice mid-credit sequence with him appearing before the United Nations, telling him he's going to actually, share their knowledge and stuff. And I thought that was kind of cool because obviously this is going to be the more build-up for the Infinity War, because Wakanda is the only place that's going to be able to repel Thanos. And then
you get the little line by the guy who's like, "What do you have to offer?"
They had to put that line in there. I'm like, I just didn't think it needed to be there, but I knew they were going to put that line.
Was like, it was a same kind of joke. Like I call them sneakers. That's what is like that level.
And then we have that last credit sequence with Bucky showing up. I thought that was out of nowhere. That was cool. Apparently healed, right?
Yeah. I mean,
and that,
new Captain America right there.
Yeah,
and that was one of the other Shuri lines that I really loved earlier in the movie when they brought the CIA agent back. And she's like, "Oh, look, another white boy for us to fix." And I was just like, "Oh man, like, like Jesus Christ, like they're not holding any punches back."
No,
all right, fair,
no,
fair.
But yeah, so Bucky has no arm, but he seems to be healed, and he's
and he's getting the vibranium arm.
Arm.
He's gonna get a better arm that doesn't break. That's cool. I mean, that is going to be the next Cap. I think he's the new Captain America. But that's my.
No, you will definitely be the new Captain America.
And that's the movie. I would like to say that the music I thought was pretty good. I thought it was like really good mix.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of like the rap music genre, but I think it fits so well mixed into this movie, right? I mean, it just worked perfectly. So,
the percussions and everything, and like when they were in Wakanda was very well done.
Yeah.
I think that the soundtrack was a little better than the song selection, but the selection of the songs was great, and as far as placements and stuff, because it wasn't over the top, it wasn't muted.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't. Yeah, it was more muted. Is what I meant.
Yeah. So overall, I really liked this movie. I thought it was a great movie. I would say great. I would give it a 9 out of 10. I had some gripes. We talked about them here, but mostly it was all positive, and would highly recommend people see this movie. I really, really, really liked it. Corey?
I'd say 7 out of 5, 7.5 out of 5.
Wow,
or
that
10,
low.
10, 7.5.
Jeez.
It's not that low. It's on par with for me, it's on par with a lot of the like more recent Marvel movies, like Doctor Strange and Thor, Ragnarok, and stuff.
I
Like,
thought it was
think
better
it's
than those.
so. Yeah, I mean, I think it's on the same level personally. I did like we talked about. I liked a lot of the aspects of it, and there's the things I didn't like. But as far as this movie goes, I have to say, like, and you know, being out in February, obviously very on the nose there.
Yeah. Yep.
With the movie, I do think they did a great job of not preaching a lot, but they did throw a lot of that stuff out there, and is very of the times with what's the current state of the world right now and things like that. So I do appreciate that they didn't go over the top with it. At the same time, like I'm there to see like a fun Marvel movie too.
Yeah.
So it was just, I mean, it was 7 out of 5. I think it was a good movie.
7.5 out of 10. I got you. Tony?
No, I'm probably right there with you. I'm probably 9. If I'm really high on it, like depending, I want to give it some time, but like I could even see myself going up to 9.5. I absolutely loved it. I think it's not a perfect movie. I definitely had issues with like the CGI, some of the fight choreography. Like it's kind of jarring to see how the Russo brothers did with Black Panther and Civil War, and then you kind of see some of the stuff in here. I'm like, oh, like I know the character could do better than this. Like,
well, the problem is they had a practical suit in Civil War, and they had a CGI suit in this one.
No, exactly. I totally understand it. But I just think the character, like the primary character, is amazing. The supporting cast is amazing.
And that's the thing. I think the supporting cast outshined Black Panther a lot in this movie. And took away from him a little bit.
That's fine. And you know what? I'm honestly okay with that because you can't really say that about any of these other, superhero movies in general. And I'm fine with that because he can get a chance to shine in like the Avengers movies and stuff like that. Because I thought he shined in Civil War. I thought it was really well done. And that was a reduced role because they introduced Spider-Man. But I'm really interested in seeing where they take the Black Panther character moving forward. And honestly, after this, I would love to see him in like a leadership role for the next, wave of Avenger stuff.
I think he will be. This is like their new golden child now with this
Well, with the amount of box office he's getting.
Yeah. I mean, he's killing it. So
to me, I don't think he's that great of a character, honestly. Like
he's very
just
much
okay.
he's very much like a Captain America though. Like he's very
prideful
and noble, and I mean he's
he's a blue chip superhero.
Yeah.
He's just very boring in my opinion. Like he's not that interesting, but all the surrounding cast is really
good. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, like I'm kind of upset that they killed off Killmonger. At least it appears that way. I know the sequence where like it zooms out, like there could be some interpretation that the bead, right? There is some chance that he did use the beads, but I really would have loved if they were able to use Michael B. Jordan again as maybe an anti-hero character or something like that, where it's like, you know what, okay.
They always do that though, man. It's like they always take the villains and then they make them like anti-heroes. I would like to see him come back and like just like still be a super villain, like
right? Or no, I'd be okay with that too. Like if maybe like I would have loved if T'Challa was like, look, we'll heal you and we'll let you go because here's the thing, like we did you wrong.
Or we heal you and like he's like pissed off because he's like, I didn't want to be healed. Fuck you guys.
Yeah, sure. Either way, whatever. I just would have loved to see the character returning.
Well, he wanted, and again, I felt like he did not have enough screen time. It felt like he was on screen for half an hour at most in this movie.
Yeah,
okay.
Maybe even less than that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it was good. I think it's going to wrap up the spoiler cast of Black Panther. Thanks for tuning in and watching and listening. And write us podcast at allycangeek.net and follow us on Twitter, allycangeek, and like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tune into the regular stuff. Movie cast, game cast coming up. Thanks.
Wakanda forever.